Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about robotics industry fundraising landscape. So forget about the typical startup platitudes. This is what actually investors care about at the moment. Where do we stand at the moment? The global robotics market is around 357 billion. However, the projections are bullish. We haven't even scratched the surface. In the next 5 years, it is expected that this market will go up to 1.5 trillion. And fundamental shift is that the market is moving from cyclical to structural. Robotics will be everywhere. However, that doesn't mean that all industries will have an equal share of that success. There are particular ones that stand out more. So this is how the capital is concentrating. There is defense and security. They dominate a large pie of this market, somewhere around 6-7 billion invested so far. Industrial robotics also around nearly 5 billion. AI autonomy platform around 1.7. But then you have something like agriculture or consumer, it's still fairly low. So if you're not in the top segment, you may find it harder to raise funds because this is where the money is flowing. Now, what we've done, we built the robotics investment readiness scorecard based on the real VC data to tell founders exactly how fundable they are. And it will benchmark your startup against the deal size, growth rates, and investors in your segment. So what are some particular key things, right? So we're looking at the mean deal size, we're looking at the valuations, and so on. So if you're raising, look at this. These are the actual median deal sizes and valuations. Defense robotics gets mega rounds. Early stage medtech and AI, not as much. So investors are selective and the bar is very high. Who gets funded and why? So we've seen companies like Anduril, 6.8 billion, defense, right? Then industrial, Figure AI, 2.2 billion, CMR Surgical, 1.4 billion, with the probability of doing IPO. So these companies get the big big checks because they solve urgent problems for governments and large industries. The first question you have to ask yourself, are you tackling a pain point with a global scale? Or is it more of a gadget? Investors who have a large funds will be able to tell the difference. What are some key drivers and tailwinds? So what's fueling the market? Obviously, in terms of defense, it's geopolitical defense spending, labor shortages for industrial, government mandates for domestic robotics, rise of robotics as a service. So you have to be aligned with these drivers, right, to fight gravity. What are some barriers to scale? You need to come to market prepared. Integration and retrofitting sometimes cost more than a new hardware. There is a global shortage of robotics talent, and every new system introduces security risk. You need to learn how to mitigate these before even pitching, and be well prepared. So getting back to our readiness score, which you will have down below if you click on the link, you will be able to calculate it based on certain parameters like traction, IP, and so on. In medicine, you need a clinical validation and regulatory clarity. So it is very important that you benchmark yourself against your industry segment. Your action plan must match industry momentum. Nail partnership strategy, go-to-market strategy, government contracts, international certification, and IP defensibility. Anything less, and you may find yourself being brutally crushed by capital allocators. Finally, if you're interested for us to assess your project, feel free to book a call. We are open to see what you're building.